What's up, everyone? Gogan here, coming at you with another advice video. Okay, so today's advice is about reference, how to watch it and what to look for. Okay, because quite honestly, when I was in school, I actually never really got taught how to look at reference. Right? All the professors or whoever was teaching me were just like, go look at some reference, and I'm like, okay, or go shoot some reference of yourself doing it. I'm like, okay, and then look at it and do what it does in there. So I'm like, okay. So what I would sit and do is I would just do that and then just stare at my reference forever, right? And just kind of pick out the poses and kind of choose what I was gonna do, I guess, and but I never really learned how to look at it, right? Because there's an actual specific way to look at your reference, and it sounds silly, but there is actually a way. Okay. So today I want to break down. I'm gonna go ahead and show on the screen here, draw some frames, draw some things, do some things, blah blah blah. But first, before I do that, I want to kind of break it down and what I do when I look at reference. Okay, before I start and do that. So when I look at reference, I usually will. It's about 10 to 20% reference, 80 to 90% me. And what I mean by that is 10% of what I actually end up doing is 10% of that reference, and it's only 10 to 20%, right? And it's only the main core of the body. Okay. And I don't know if that's just what I've learned to do over the years, or if that's just what I've always done. I think it's what I've always done, and I've never been obviously you need reference as an animator. I'm not going to say I've never looked at reference, don't look at reference, but I don't use reference the entire time I'm animating. And the reason it's very similar to in my other tutorials of saying I just feel too bogged down, right? And I've always been under the impression or the understanding you shouldn't use reference or copy reference one-to-one. Okay, and I feel like I've learned faster that way, right? Because I learned to feel the way through my animations. Now, there's nothing wrong with the way you animate, but I've always when I tried copying it one-to-one, I just felt like I wasn't ever picking up anything from my reference. And so what I figured out, how I looked at reference best and doing the poses, is getting the main storytelling poses, right, of what I'm trying to accomplish. And then I actually what I'll do is I'll break down in my own way my storytelling poses, and then first I will look at a bunch of reference. Okay, I won't break it down frame by frame quite yet. And then what I'll do is be okay, I like what I'm seeing here, I'm gonna do this, and then I'll go into Maya and I'll do my main storytelling poses, and then if those aren't, and then I'll feel my way through the timing, right, whatever. And at that point, if it's not feeling right, at that point I'll go in, I'll look at my reference, I'll look at exactly okay, where are my storytelling poses matching up with what I'm trying to do in this reference, and am I doing it correctly on my animation, and then match it up to my reference, right? And there are three things I'm really only gonna really look at when I'm doing that, and that is the core body and then the secondary core body. Okay, that's what I see it as, is there's a core body that you need to look at and secondary core body. So the core body is the main movement of the entire torso, from your hips, sort of hips to upper torso and shoulders. Okay, that's the core body, what's it doing as a whole. Okay, and then you've got your secondary body, right, your secondary core, and this is the way I break it down. Okay, secondary core, which is your hips, how are they moving like this, your chest, how is it countering those hips, and then your shoulders. Okay, the reason I include the shoulders in that, because they are literally attached to your chest. You cannot move your shoulders without moving your you can't move your chest without also moving your shoulders. No matter what, my shoulders are going to move. If I stiffen them, they're always going to move. Okay, so I include that as a secondary core. Okay, so I look at what the main body is doing. Okay, then look at the hips, then the chest, then the shoulders. Okay, so let's now go to an actual piece of reference, okay, that I got from YouTube, and let's break it down a little bit. Okay, quickly break it down. These videos, I try to make these videos a little bit quicker. Okay, so we have here a jump, right? And it's actually in slow motion already. It's not sped up or anything. It's actually in slow motion, okay? So let's go ahead and look at this reference. So the guy jumps, then lands. So what am I going to look at in this reference? Okay, well, obviously it's a jump, right? So what I would do in my own workflow is I would kind of like work out my own jump. Now I don't want to like fully do the jump just like this, right? Of the guy. If I want to copy it one-to-one, sure. But like I would apply the principles of animation, which, or I shouldn't say principles, but like what you learn in animation of like 1 foot supposed to leave the ground first, you know, all that stuff, right? And I would kind of build up those poses myself, and then I would see like what is working in this myself, right? So then I'm going to see what is the main body doing. Okay, so the main body as a whole, I'll take that main control, and I'm going to rotate it down. I'm going to pull it down, okay, and rotate it down like this first, okay? And then I'm going to, this would be another one. So here, right, so here's number 1 pose, okay, blocking. Number 2 pose, every time I do this. Number 3 pose, okay. Number 4 pose. Number 5 pose. Number 6 pose. And then I'll return to number 1 for a game loop, okay. So that's how I'm going to break it down. And I will take the main control, and that's what I will do first, okay, when I am blocking in. And then after I'm blocking in, I'll analyze like what weight is he, where is he putting the weight, okay? So if we see him shift, right, he shifts onto his left foot first, okay, over here. So I'm going to pop that hip up, okay, counter, well, not quite this exaggerated, but anyway. Then he shifts onto his other leg right here, okay, so you're going to now do it this way, okay? But this first pass is just to see what the hips are doing, okay? Also want to point out he in his hips he's like countering like this, okay? With his hips, okay? If it's a straight on profile view. And then he's going down, and when he goes down, he does the opposite. He's going like this. Okay, and countering like this. And then I'll see what the hips are doing. Now the hips are pointed back down here, okay, like this. Now opposite the other way. So the hips here are like, that's like your biggest thing when you're doing like doing your main core body, is like with the hips and the chest, is like try and recognize where those C's are, right? You got your C's and your reverse C's. Try to recognize where those are, either from the front view or the profile view, okay? Try to recognize where those are with your hips and your chest, okay? So, there's a reverse C, forward C. This is going to be a reverse C. Forward C here, reverse C here, forward C here, still forward C, and then go back up to reverse C, right? And what you need to recognize is like with those C's, okay? I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, but what you recognize with those C's is like what the chest and the hips are doing to each other. Like literally reverse C and forward C, like that's what your hips are going to be doing. That's what your hips and chest are going to be doing in relation to each other, okay? Core body first, then the hips and the chest, and then your shoulders. And this is something that I see that's missed like a whole bunch in animation. Like this is one of the big parts. People forget and don't take the shoulders quite as seriously as they need to, okay? Like I see it all the time in the shoulders, okay? They are attached to your main core. So they count, like they're a big deal. And especially in your arm movements, they're always going to move, okay? Right? So his shoulders are now, like your shoulders are always going to move. His arms are coming back, and if you notice, his shoulders are coming back quite a bit, okay? They're coming down, right? They're going back like this, and they're going down, okay? And then right here, this is the thing that I want to point out the most, is they are like stretching upward. And this is like one of the things that I really don't see enough of, is the upward rotation. People can get the downward pretty okay, but then the upward, Like, I see all the time arms moving up like this, and people don't move their shoulders. Like, they just don't, like, they aren't realizing this, okay? The shoulders are their own entity, but they will rotate with the chest and then do their own thing with the arms. And the cool thing about this specific reference is he is, like, using his whole arm to, like, gain that momentum of his, like, for this jump, right? He's using his arms to gain that momentum for his body, okay? His shoulders come first. If you'll notice, his shoulders are rotating down and starting to go up, okay? They really stretch high, okay? I want to emphasize the shoulders in, like, this video because they are a huge deal that everyone misses, okay? They are, like, swinging the body and creating momentum for the body, especially in jumps and especially in, like, run cycles, okay? People pump their arms in a run cycle. The arm and the shoulder actually come first when somebody's running. They're pumping. They're not dragging behind, right? And that's something that a lot of people get wrong in a run cycle. Is like the arms are, like, pumping forward and the shoulders are pumping forward, right? Because you're trying to gain momentum to catch yourself on the next step, okay? And then the shoulders really stretch far because he has to counterbalance himself here, okay? The shoulders really stretch far forward and down. And then they're coming back up really far. Okay, so I wanted to make a video about, like, how to look at reference and how to break it down because I honestly was never even shown how to do that. I was just told to look at reference and just go do it, right? But if you guys can look at a reference as, like, the main core body, like, look at what the arms are doing, right? But those are honestly all secondary to what you really need to be focusing on, really how you really push your, body mechanics, okay? Figure out what the main torso is doing. Cut off the arms and legs if you have to, and just look at what the torso is doing. A lot of animators will just get a cube with the sphere on top and animate that doing its thing. But if you notice, like, it's just a cube and then a sphere on top, right? And you don't even need the sphere. A lot of people do that just for clarity for themselves. But, like, that's how, like, simple it is to really break down the core body mechanics and like, making it so it's just a cube and a sphere on top. Like, that gets rid of, like, the arms and the legs, and you, like, just having to focus on what the actual main body is doing as a whole, right? The entire block torso, okay? And then the hips and chest and shoulders are secondary core, okay? And the shoulders may even be, like, third core, right? Because they are their own entity and they can do their own thing, but they are still attached to the chest. Anyways, guys, I hope this video helped at least a little bit. Hope it helped you understand a little bit more. It was kind of all over the place at times, but I hope it helped at least a little bit. I'll probably do another one of these videos. As always, I have my Discord channel or Discord server. Please come by, leave your shots. I give feedback daily on there, and your shot will get looked at no matter what, whether it's by me or the community. I'm just there to make sure that your shot does get seen. Okay, sometimes other people will leave feedback, which I encourage a ton. Please, anybody that's watching this video, please leave feedback for everybody else on the server. Okay, it's a community thing. I just am there to make sure everyone's shot gets feedback and everyone's shot gets seen. Okay, and if you leave legitimate feedback for somebody else, I will, like, make that a point to say, like, they left great feedback. And I have a couple of my own notes, okay? If you're not on LinkedIn very much and you just so happen to see this video, please jump over to my Instagram. I'll leave my handle in the comments. Jump over to Twitter. I'm also on there. I'll leave all the social places to find me and find my content at, okay? Other channels, honestly, on YouTube, this is a community. I'm not just going to be selfish on my own, right? Opie, the fitness animator, he's a great resource. A lot of people already know Sir Wade. Go check him out. My own channel, that's a great other place, okay? So let's keep building this awesome community, guys. Go check out the server. Go check my YouTube channel and other YouTube channels, okay? Thanks, guys. Happy animating.